saw my last video, then you'll have seen me say something along the lines of, I've tried to film a tour of the van 3 times, but the lighting's been terrible, so I'm definitely going to get it done this time. There's no way that I'm not going to film this footage and edit the video. So what happened was, I did film it, but then I accidentally deleted all the footage. So I'm going to make the video again. So this is a tour of my self-converted 2005 Toyota Alphard camper. I'm currently parked up at Neast Point, and all this footage was taken during the filming of my video that will be called something like Eye of the Sky Sea Fishing or something. Right, so the reason that I wanted to do this video is because at some point in the hopefully not too distant future, I want to completely redo all of the camper part of the van. And that's because when I first did it, I was using mostly hand tools. It's not done to a very high standard. There are things that I would change, and some things are getting a bit rickety and starting to fall apart a little bit. It was mostly just designed to be on a budget and just have the necessities of things that I needed when I do the kinds of trips that I like to do. So this car is designed to sleep 1 or 2 people for 1, 2 or 3 nights. Any more than that, you really are going to want to stop over in a hotel for a night or 2 before getting back out in the car. There's no toilet, no shower, no running water. The cooking facilities are a gas stove on a table. But the main thing that I wanted was a bed and a fridge and some lighting and somewhere to charge a phone. And that's pretty much all I wanted, and that's what I've got. It's a nice comfortable space. As you can see, I can pretty much sit up on the bed. I'm 6 feet tall, and my head doesn't quite touch the ceiling. The bed's long enough for me to stretch out in. Prior to this, I had a Honda CR-V that was converted into a micro camper, and that was too small and cramped. So I thought, get something a bit bigger. Let's do a more proper job. So I'm currently on a trip. So the van's full of stuff. Let's start with the bed. Well, let's start with the storage actually. So the under the bed is designed to accommodate 2 of these boxes from B&Q, but the problem with them is that they're rubbish and they just break instantly. I've got about 4 or 5 of these because I keep having to buy new ones because look at that. They just keep getting holes smashed in them. So I think when I do this again, I will just fabricate some wooden boxes that go under the bed. I don't really want to change much of the general layout. It's more the fit and finish that I'm looking to improve upon. Currently, the bed is in travel mode, which means I have a foam mattress on top of a bed that pulls out into a double. There's a second foam mattress, but I've left that at home, which fills up the rest of the double bed. There's the mattress and the pillow. These are the curtains for the front and back, and we'll go over them a bit later. And these are for blocking out the side windows. And everything's held down with bungee cords. Over here is all the electrics. So one of the things that I wanted from this build was for it to only be semi-permanent. So it's really, really easy to take everything out. There's just a couple of bolts that are holding things in permanently. Other than that, everything can just slide back out for if I ever wanted to convert it back into an 8-seater, or if I ever needed it to be a van to move stuff. Actually, what I've done is, oh, a little dog. Actually, what I've done is I've thrown all the back seats away, taken to the tip. They're not worth anything because everyone converts these into campers, so there's more rear Alphard seats going than there are actual cars at this point. So yeah, it can't really be converted back. So what I do want to do next time when I improve it is make everything a bit more permanent, which I think should make everything a bit more solid. So in order to make it more modular and so that it is take apartable, all the electrics are concentrated in this back unit here. There is a wire that runs from the starter battery in the engine through a split charge relay under the bed, which runs to this battery box here, which contains a leisure battery. Everything's switched off at the minute, so I'll switch it on to show you everything works, but the fridge compressor will come on, which makes a bit of noise. There's the battery box here. This is the fridge compressor. This is the fridge. There's 4 lights here. 2 of these USB modules, each of them has a 5V 1A and a 5V 2.1A USB socket for faster charging. And then there's the fuse box is behind there, but we'll go through that in a second. This fridge is one of the main reasons that I wanted to have a proper sized van instead of the Honda CR-V that I was previously using. It's great for fishing. It's got a freezer section at the top where I keep the bait, and then at all the food, the people food, goes in the rest of the fridge. Great for cooling down drinks. I mean, it's as good as a real fridge pretty much. The freezer box is really effective at keeping stuff frozen. I've had ice cream in there before, so this is one of the things I mean about the fit and finish. The battery box is pretty much just held down with a big ratchet strap, so it's kind of migrating over and getting in the way of the fridge. So I just want everything to be mounted a lot more securely and permanently. I'll turn the battery on. And then that's the fridge compressor starting up. So there's a dial in the fridge that, I'll just turn it down so it turns off. So there's a dial in the fridge to set the temperature. Well, I guess the level of chilling. And this is a Vitrafrigo, which I believe is an Italian manufacturer. Most people go with, I think it's a Dometic, but the reason I went with this one is because the Dometic has the compressor built into the back of the fridge, so it's a lot deeper. And because the bed pulls out past the front of the fridge, the bed would have had to have been shorter. Whereas this unit has the compressor separately, so you can kind of put it where you want. So I've put it next to the fridge on top of the battery. I think it's a tiny bit more expensive than the Dometic unit that people use, but yeah, for my money, I mean, whenever you're building, something like this, it's all about packaging, right? It's all about getting the most efficient use of space. And then the lights, just little LEDs with these like snaky arms, USB ports, and charging a couple of GoPro batteries here. You can charge your phone on there nice and quick. And I haven't done the calculations, but I think that battery, I can't remember how big it is, but it should be enough to power the fridge and everything for a few days at least. That's not really an issue for me because I don't really tend to stay parked up in the same place for longer than a night before I go and drive on, and then obviously driving the car, or at least running the engine, will refill the battery. I don't have a little battery monitor or anything like that. I don't think I need it. I've never run it out so far, and to be honest, I don't think that will be a problem. I want to do the bed, but because it's currently in driving mode and all of the window stuff is on the bed, let's go through how I set up for the night, and I'll go through how all the curtains work, and then we can have a look at the bed. So as I mentioned, there's this bungee cord which we just unclip that. I like to sleep, well, there's pros and cons to each way round. This way your head's closer to this, which I use as a bedside table, but it's also close to the fridge compressor, which can come on in the night and be a bit loud. The other way around, it's a bit close to that seat, but you're a bit further away from the fridge compressor. So I'm going to set the camera up in the corner of the room, the corner of the van, and see how much it captures of me putting all of the curtains up. So the front and back curtains are mounted on a piece of dowel for the curtain rail, and then they have these little eyelet hooks that I've cut off so that they normally come around 3/4 of the way, but I've cut them off so they're just sort of half. One's slightly longer than the other. The longer one goes in the front and the short one goes in the back. The curtains are IKEA blackout curtains that have been cut down to size and hemmed off. And I don't know how much the camera's going to pick up of this. It's going to be one of those things that everyone's always like, oh, it's hard to do this one-handed. And you always think, oh, just put the camera down then. But yeah, I don't think I'll get the shot unless I'm holding the camera. So, so I just hook these hooks into these little mouldings here. So these are actually lights, like room lights that are powered by the car. And once the curtain's up, just slide it across one side and then the other. If you want to do a really thorough job, you can move the passenger seat forward, slide the curtain over and then move the seat back again. And then, oh, there's a man doing a way out the back. He can't see me because of the tint on the windows. He just looked up, maybe he heard me. Anyway, so yeah, back one, same thing. Hooks into here and into here. That was quite smooth for a one-handed job. And then behind this table at the back, behind the unit with all the electrics. Again, if you want to do it really properly, the best way is to open the boot and do it from behind. But I'm not actually going to go to sleep now, so this will do. And then for the side windows, I have these pieces of, it's hardboard that I've spray painted black and drilled some holes and put some string through. They are a bit rough and ready and they are deteriorating. Every time I use them, they break a little bit. And that just pops into the window, into the sort of space. Like this. Did a reasonable job. People definitely can't see in. And the tint on these windows is so good that you can't really tell that it's in, so it's quite stealthy as well. And then different shape here. To make these, I just made a template with some newspaper or something, or packing paper, I think it was. But I didn't do a very good job. They're all different sizes, slightly different shapes, slightly different levels of preventing the light coming in, and slightly different effectiveness at staying in the actual window. So I'm actually just going to do the whole thing to demonstrate how how dark it doesn't really get when it's the daytime. So this is the last one. That'll do. And then close the moonroof. So that's about as dark as you can get it in the daylight. One thing I would like to do is to have better curtains. It's really the front and the back ones that are letting in the most light. But the issue with that is that it's not a square space. It's a weird sort of overly space that flares out. So to be honest, I don't think that it'll actually get much better than this. I would like side curtains that kind of don't take up so much room while they're not in place. It's really annoying when it's the daytime and you've just got nowhere to put them. And sometimes they fall out, which is scary and loud and annoying in the night. It makes you jump. Let's get that open again so we can get some light. So I think I was in two minds about whether to actually pull the bed out, but you know, this is supposed to be a tour of the van, so let's do that. I don't have my second box under here at the moment, so things are just kind of scattered around a little bit. So bear with me while I move my food out of the way. Just stored in Morrison's bags at the minute. Okay, so this is the bed, and then lifting up this mattress here, you can see that it's made out of these slats. One thing that I need to improve on with the next build is, if I'm going to go with this same design, the slats need to be smaller and closer together because you can really feel them through the mattress. It's fine when the bed's pushed together like this, but when you've got half as many because it's pulled out in a double, yeah, it's actually really, really uncomfortable. So to pull it out, again, Not sure if I can do this one-handed. Oh, yeah. There are wheels on the bottom, casters, which are supposed to roll along the floor, but they don't. I'm not going to pull it all the way because I don't really fit in when... that's pretty much the way. It pulls out a little bit further than this, but I won't fit in the van anymore if I completely pull it out. And I haven't got the mattress to put on it anyway. So it makes quite a decent sized bed, which pretty much fills the whole space of the van. There's a rope here which extends to its full length. When it's pulled out to stop you being able to pull it all the way. I'm just going to push that back because it's annoying. What else? Right, the carpet. So the carpet is just a bit of carpet that I found in the loft when we moved into our house. It doesn't lay flat on the floor well at all, and it gets in the way. It always bunches up here, and it gets in the way of the fridge door opening, gets in the way of pulling the bed out. But I actually really like it. Not so much in its current state, but just the concept of having a carpet is really nice. It's nice and warm, and it feels really nice on your feet after you've just walked up a big hill or something like that. It just makes everything feel a bit more cozy and relaxing. Yeah, it does catch crumbs, but it is quite good, and I think I would probably keep an upholstered floor when I go to change the van. I think that's everything for inside the van. So the next bit that I need to film is, I'm going to take these windows down so the view behind me is a bit more interesting. That's better. So the next bit that I need to film is outside, and there's a few people outside and people are coming and going, and there is nothing more cringe inducing than talking to a camera with people listening. So I'm going to do the voiceover now and then get the footage to match the voiceover afterwards. I have the luxury now of being able to open the boot. During the filming of my last video, the car was experiencing some kind of electrical issue after the battery had run flat. None of the central locking was working on either the button on the door or on the key, which meant there was no way to open the boot that I could find anyway. To open the side doors, I had to reach round and unlock them from the inside after opening the driver's door with the key. So thankfully now I've kind of worked out how you fix that. So if anyone is having the same problem in the future, what I ended up having to do was disconnecting the battery for a while, like 10, 20, 30 minutes, reconnecting it, and then running the car for a while. I tried it a couple of times, but I either hadn't disconnected the battery for long enough or hadn't let the car run for long enough. So I had ruled that out as a solution. And then just by chance, I happened to disconnect it, reconnect it, and run the car because I was like messing with the fuse box or something, and it fixed it. So now that I can open the boot, I can show you the other stuff that's in the back of the car. Firstly, there's this table. I like the concept of it, but I've done a terrible job on the finish. And I initially used screws that were too long, and that went all the way through the boards. And then I've covered the screw heads with wood filler for some reason. What I actually should have done is just use glue, but I didn't. It's also too tall and it blocks way too much of the rear window. The rear visibility is so compromised by the size of this table. It doesn't need to be that big. Next time I'll be making a smaller one. It's currently held up with a clamp. I had designs of putting a little hook on and holding it in place with a bit of twine or something, but I did that and it immediately broke. So I just carried on using the clamp. The clamp works, although it is destroying the other side of the this board here. Moving on, you'll see the exposed fuses. Again, that had a cover that was held on with Velcro, and then all the Velcro fell off. It was a good idea, but it didn't work. So now I just leave it. I think it's probably fine. Who knows? All the electrics feed into here and then distribute from this box, and all of the negative terminals go to this one, which is then earthed to an earthing point in the rim of the boot. There's a bit of a storage area down here, and this is where I put my fishing rods. So the fishing rod's obviously long and thin and go under the bed. and then I have to fight to get them out every time because I put the fishing rods in first, and then I always put other stuff under the bed from inside the car, which gets in the way. And then instead of pulling the stuff back out whenever I want to remove the rods, what I do is I just pull the rods out until they come. One day I'll break something, but it's not happened yet. And I also like to put the stove here while I'm waiting for it to cool down. So one of the reasons that I don't like cooking in the car very much is because I like to get everything fully tidied up before I eat, so that I'm like, I know that I don't have to do a chore after I've finished eating. I can just like relax properly. And obviously that's quite difficult when you're dealing with a hot stove. So I put it down here, I let it cool off a little bit, and then I put it down here. I think that's pretty much all there is to say about the rear of the car. I am just going to make some soup for my lunch now. I just used this little gas stove. Like I said, I don't really like cooking in the van very much. I can't really cook inside because there's no extraction, and it would be quite difficult to put extraction in. If it were a panel van, I think it would be a lot easier, but it isn't. It's a car, so there's not a lot I can do about it apart from just opening windows. I don't want to have to generate a load of washing up that I then have to sort out. Generally I'm away at weekends when things like pubs and takeaways are open, so I like to have a meal out if I can, or get a takeaway and eat it in the car. I tend to eat a lot of cold food when I'm in the car, or yeah, just really simple stuff that you heat up in one pan that doesn't create much washing up. So, you know, soup, beans, whatever, as long as it's easy to wash up. That's the main thing. Quick to heat up, easy to wash up. It seems very basic compared to a lot of the van builds that you will have seen on YouTube. Believe me, I've seen a lot of them as well, but a lot of the times I watch these people's videos and I think, why do you need all this stuff for two people, one or two people, for a few nights? This is perfect for me. All right, quick update. So today is Sunday. I filmed the little van tour that I did yesterday on the Saturday, and then when I woke up on Sunday morning I found that I had a flat tyre. So if you'll recall, I said something along the lines of the rear was designed to be somewhat modular, so that in the event of needing to access the spare tyre I could get to it. That happened sooner than I thought, and it's going to be a bit more difficult to put back together than I'd imagined. I could put it back together, but I think that this rebuild is going to come a bit sooner than I had anticipated. So it was this front tyre that was flat, but I didn't fancy putting this pretty dodgy looking 20-year-old spare on the front where the steering and the power happens, so I had to take the rear tyre off first, put the spare on the rear, and then jack the front up and put the tyre that had been on the rear on the front. Because the tyre was so flat, it was so close to the ground that I couldn't get the jack under it, so I had to roll over a little rock to make that happen. But I'll just show you what the state of the inside of the car currently looks like, and I think it's pretty safe to say I won't be doing any more camping in it for a little while. So I was able to remove this back piece. I had to pull out the fridge. I had to pull the fridge forwards, obviously with the compressor. That was mounted onto the battery, which is in there somewhere. I had to undo the battery from some of its electrics to slide that around, pull this whole rear section out, and then I'm only about 3.5 hours from home, so I've just dumped everything back in again. But yeah, I think it might be a little while until I make another camping video. Hopefully I'll be able to do some more fishing in my other car and make some videos about that. But yeah, I'm actually quite excited because I've been meaning to redo. Where's the backdrop? That's probably nicer. I've been meaning to redo the camping bits in the car for a little while. Actually since last year. I was intending to do it before last summer, and then every time I would find a reason to want to go away in it again, and so I didn't. And now my hand's been somewhat forced. I could put it back together, but I think I'm just going to rip everything out and throw it away and start again. So yeah, looking forward to what comes next. It actually wasn't too difficult to change the tyres over, so that's good. It's starting to snow a bit actually. I better get going before this dodgy ass tyre explodes. Right, bye.